This is Tony with Earth Files, Earth History. And in 2016, Kerry went down to Antarctica. And there was a lot of speculation and theories that he went to see a UFO, to looking at a secret Nazi submarine base that was left over from the war. But with the information and the evidence that I produced, he did go to an extraordinary place. You can come up with your own conclusion at the end of this video, but I think that the evidence that I present is very compelling. The official news report from the news media was that Kerry went down to Antarctica to talk to the scientists about global warming. So when Kerry went down to Antarctica, he went and visited an early explorer's hut called Hutchinson's Hut, and after they found it, they restored it. So as the story goes, is Kerry is going to go down there and take a look at it, but you'll see them leaving to go and look at it, and you'll see them coming back. And if there's any other pictures, you'll see inside of it, but you'll never see around the hut itself at any long distance. So now this is where the story takes a twist, and these two images are going to reveal the reason that Kerry went to the Antarctica. In this first image, this was released by WikiLeaks, and this supposedly is Kerry going towards Hutchinson's Hut. So right now we're going to take Hutchinson's Hut out of the picture, and what Kerry's doing in this area is completely covered in artifacts from the Anunnaki, from their civilization. And since some of the ice is melting, these artifacts are no longer stable, and a lot of them are collapsing. And they were quite advanced. He's going to find machinery, possibly vehicles, megalithic structures, all kind of artifacts in this whole area. So we're going to look at one of the first artifacts, which is right here. And as you look at it, it looks round like a tire. Had a piece of metal that apparently, I guess, covered it at one time. It's deteriorated, and it's slightly bent to one side. And where this dark area is, whatever this was airbrushed out. Now, in the highlight portion, I did this so you can tell that this thing is almost completely perfectly round. And then you can see where it's pieced together here. And then there's some type of artifact or metal structure that pops up and is standing in this area. And when I darken it, you can see this artifact a little bit better. And then with the close-up, you can kind of see the outline of it through here. Okay, now we're going to go back to the image, and we're going to take a look at a different area. The first artifact was here, and now we're going to look at a second artifact, which is right in this area. And here it is, and it's supported by some type of, looks like metal supports with something leaning against it. And I don't know what this is, but this is perfectly square and has perfectly 90-degree angles to it. And then also notice how all of this is airbrushed out darker. And this looks like ice or snow, but look at it. It's a plate of some type of material because it's laying across these structures here. When it goes here and here, and there's a structure back here that goes through and comes through this area. So this actually is not even ice. Here's a close-up image of that structure. And you notice it's kind of round. See where it's connected? It's kind of collapsed and separated, kind of comes to a point and then comes back out. And the geometrics on this is near perfect. You can definitely tell this was intelligently and artificially made. When you look in the back here, all this has been airbrushed out. This is the reason it's white. But there's some buildings back here, and we're going to take a look at them. Because the image was so corrupted, I wasn't able to get any type of clear close-up of these structures. But I believe that this area is a city area, and this is where people lived. This structure, from the distance that we're looking at them, is probably about 2 to 3 miles long. And the size of some of these structures are about the size of a 747 hangar. That's not going to be completely accurate, but it's going to be pretty close. So you can see this building here, goes up through here. You can see, it looks like a tunnelway. You can see through the structure, through the other side, you can see the light. And then you can see walls through here, and you can see another structure in this area. And there's some type of box structure here. So Kerry walked through the debris field and went into this city. And I can only imagine what he found, especially where people lived, since the Anunnaki were highly intelligent, and their technology on building and then electronics was far advanced than what we have now. This second image that we're looking at, this is Kerry and his crew supposedly coming back from Hutchison's hut. Of course, by now you know that that's just a cover story. So I want you to notice that this is the one that the news media released into the public. And this whole image has been corrupted. So let's take a look at it. Here's an artifact here and here. These artifacts are totally different. I'm going to show that to you in a minute. Let's look at some land markings. Okay, you got 3 white spots here, 3 white spots here. There's a hook-shaped white spot here, and there's one here. Look where this fake image is lined up. The edge of it's lined up with the center of this spot, and this is the same spot also. And notice how this artifact sits away from it. So we're going to take a look at this artifact here. Actually, it's not an artifact, it's a prop. See, it's perfectly square, and they put an antenna on it. Check out the metal that's going over it, and it looks fairly new. It doesn't look like it's been deteriorated at all. I'm sure they're going to pass this off as a weather monitoring station that transmits the information back to the main base. Here's a brighter enhancement, so you can see that all this stuff looks new. And it doesn't look like it's really part of the picture. It kind of sticks out. First, we're going to compare both the artifacts. And as you can tell by looking at this one's round. Then it has like that piece of metal that covered it and hangs over close to the center of whatever this is, machinery or whatever. And this one here, it's got a perfect frame on it. Looks brand new. Through here, and it's square. This is not square. This is the original photo before this was put in its place. Up here, the marking looks like ice. Through here, the edge of this prop hits it dead center. Has the same marking, except the edge of this metal plate here is off to the side of it. This one is to the center of it, so they didn't even place this right. And I highlighted it and enlarged just a little bit more. So you can see this little metal structure I was talking about earlier. It's not even in here. Now, this image is where in the WikiLeaks image there was a artifact or some type of structure that was in this area. And you can see the buildings a lot better in the WikiLeaks image. Of course, this one was produced by the news media. This one is, like I said, heavily touched up. So we're going to compare these images, and we're going to look at the marking. This part looks like ice, goes down, comes around, goes in, and this one matches it. Goes around, comes in, and now almost a perfect match. But you can see where the air brushed out this area. And remember, this is not ice, it's some type of plate or material. Whatever the structure was collapsed. And here's some of the supports for it. And probably some of the framework. You can see it comes all the way through. So as we go back to this original image, and with the information that we have, we can only come to one conclusion, was that Kerry was actually in Antarctica visiting an ancient city that has vehicles and electric motors and all type of machinery. And there's also a city here in the back, which he probably toured. So that's the only conclusion that I can come to. You may come to a different conclusion yourself, but I've got enough evidence that it does point that he went through this complete area. So after 30 million years, the reality that the Anunnaki were here is becoming more of a reality.